In the previous update, I made radical internal changes to Photosounder. In this new update, I'm fixing some of the things these changes broke, and I'm adding a few modest features, like all these dialogs. More radical updates, which will probably break more things, are in the works. So this is mainly an update focused on reliability and quality of life. There are also some unfortunate news. The first thing you may notice when using the full new version for the first time is this prompt. Basically, it asks you to locate the license file so that it can be copied to the folder where the other command files, like the configuration and history files, are stored. So now, thanks to this, you just install your license once and for all on your computer. Next, we have a new dialog for everything related to the sound output, where you can select the sound device in API and related parameters. There's a new dialog that pops up when you try to save a file. It's for selecting the file format, and it comes with helpful explanations. I also made a dialog to extend a project in time or cut it short, which can be helpful, like say you want to use several files and put them one after the other. You'll need this dialog to adjust the duration to make extra room. You can set the new duration in whichever unit you prefer, and if you look at the instructions, you'll see how you can set the values. What this doesn't tell you is that when you enter a value, you can also type in a formula. Like for instance, you want to add 4 seconds, you can add +4, and this does the math for you. The way sound files in non-lossless mode are created is now totally changed. Instead of trying to fall back to non-live synthesis, which didn't even always work, now it always saves using live synthesis, which solves the problem of some sounds containing small cracks. So in terms of output, this is much better. I added something so that now if the program crashes on Windows, it generates a file that details where it crashed, and hopefully I can make use of that if you email it to me. I also made the graphics faster, and there are some other fixes that I won't dwell on. Let's rather talk about the next update, version 1.12, which will finally add stereo support, but also 3-channel support. I'll explain why. Stereo support means that you'll be able to load stereo sounds, visualize them in stereo with the same color scheme as used in my visualizer Spiral, where the color indicates stereo positioning. You'll be able to edit channels separately or together. You'll be able to take a mono sound and make it stereo by making certain instruments have a certain color, and directly create new sounds in stereo. But there will also be 3-channel support, which is a bit odd given that you can't hear the 3rd channel, but the idea is that when you open a color image, it will have 1 channel for each color. Then you can convert that layer to stereo by mixing the channels according to some coefficients, or simply you could export a 3-channel sound file, which when loaded by Photosounder will produce accurate colors. So yeah, RGB sound files, imagine that. I was going to make this update directly without releasing 1.11, but it's taking longer than expected, and because of how much it changes everything internally, there's a good chance that some function will break, so you will always have 1.11 to go back to. I've also been working on new core algorithms for everything: analysis, synthesis, and the lossless mode. They're very advantageous to the way they represent signals in a continuous way as opposed to discrete. This will have many practical advantages, which will make live lossless synthesis of several sound files at the same time possible, which will go towards my efforts of pushing the multi-track aspects of Photosounder. So you could mix many things together and treat Photosounder like something that can mix original sounds, transform sounds, and synthesize sounds together quite well. But all this might take a long time. I also wanted to make a radically new interface based on my experiments of the last few years, but this will require some public discussion, which is why I'm working on a video on the topic of my innovations in the field of graphical interfaces, and how I can use my new interface concept in my programs without confusing people too much. And now, the unfortunate news. Inflation, war, looming recession, well, mainly inflation. I last set the price for Photosounder back in January 2015. And well, $79 7.5 years ago isn't the same as today. It's more like $100 today. So what I'm gonna do is, whenever I release a significant update like this one, I will update the price to be worth the same as $79 in January 2015, which means $100 now. I will change the price whenever I'm awake on August 1st, 2022, so until then you can still buy it for the old price. That's it for this update. Next video will most likely be a tutorial on how to create a reverb effect and apply it to audio using Photosounder. Like this. Bye!